Another day, another dollar makes me want to scream and holler. February the 22nd is about to come to an end. 30 minutes before midnight. It's just a matter of time to come up with a video, a brand new video. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Taylor Jones and I welcome you to episode 4 of Cold Man's Winter. Now, what am I going to talk about for this time? Because honestly, before I start this episode, I want y'all to know that I'm still doing the do. And a few days ago, I just received my 10th subscriber. So I got 10 subscribers on my YouTube channel. It doesn't seem much, but it's a good accomplishment after so long. But the last Cold Man's Winter episode, I had a couple feedbacks. Well, actually one. And one of the people that responded, well, actually commented me that I really had a good video. I'd like to give a shout out to you. Thank you very much for your support. And when it came to me talking about procrastination, I feel like I'm getting myself on top of things, and it really makes perfect sense. But the problem is we're still procrastinating. Some people don't know it, but it keeps happening on an everyday routine. And this time for episode 4 is going to be some different type of situations. So what can I talk about for this week's episode of Cold Man's Winter? Well, I talk some random things. It's kind of like a mixture between a rant and what to overcome, how to see the future for everybody. For instance, I think one of the things that we have to look over are random folks. Like, for instance, we talked about we experienced some Me Too movements, sexual harassments, the quid pro quo type sexual harassments, but not only in jobs and everywhere. It just doesn't make sense. But when it comes to making poor decisions like sexual harassment, and to think about it, family members been in this position, friends been in this position. Aren't we sick and tired of seeing everything going downhill? Because honestly, 2020, just when people were expecting a better look of things, like a better vision, we're trying to see things clearly, but we're still stranded. We're in the fog. We can't even see what is behind us, what's in front of us, or side by side, because next thing you know, we'll be hit on the exact spot. We'll end up dead in a foggy day, all completely fogged out, and we can't even discover where we're going. It's just like an old saying. And I'm thinking of one right now. If you keep doing the things you're doing in the wrong way, I guess that was made up. But the point is, if you keep going in the wrong direction, you're going to fool around and end up hurt. Like a PSA commercial I've been watching on TV, where a black man who used to be in a position where he used to carry a gun and went to jail for it, he always get mad, and he was like, "So don't lose your head, use your head, man. Gun crime, max time. Haven't we thought about using our heads? Haven't we ever thought about speaking out for the people who have been sexually harassed? Haven't we been telling our parents and thinking about quitting our day jobs because of this behavior? Haven't we been thinking about, filing a lawsuit if they keep going? And even in the worst way you could, you still have to say something. For example, John Doe. No, y'all already heard that name so many times. I'm going to switch it up a bit. Denver. David Denver was working at a cubicle. He been calling the individuals who called his company, his office, and all of a sudden he's on top of things. He's on the dot type of person. He gets things done. And then all of a sudden, every Friday, his boss named Suzanne, Arkansas. Yeah. Suzanne, Arkansas always invites David to dinner. Every Friday she has dinner. But according to some random folks, like for instance, you be talking about Netflix and chill. It was kind of like that. Dinner, but all of a sudden, after dinner was over, and of course, she has a man who is always working the night shift at an industry. And he doesn't come home until 3 a.m. So Suzanne, she asked David to sleep with her. And why would he do such thing? Like they watch a movie and then all of a sudden they slept together. But unfortunately, Suzanne's husband, he sleeps in another room. They're separate. They have like an issue with their relationship, their marriage, and David is caught up in the middle. So actually, let's just say that it's been happening for 5 months. And all of a sudden, here we are in month 6. And of course, one Friday, Suzanne wanted David to come to another dinner. And not to mention, everybody was like, they were not pleased with how much they're getting paid. Like, for instance, if you work in a cubicle, let's say you get paid around $20 an hour. $20 an hour. From 9 to 5, you have 10. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. 120, 160. And you work 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. You work a 9 to 5 job, Monday through Friday. So 160 times 5 days that is. That would be, oh my goodness, $800 a week. And David, he gets the paycheck. He gets an $800 paycheck every Friday. But unfortunately, since Friday was like a good day to go out and have some fun, he's always ending up with his boss, Suzanne. And every Saturday, like whenever he leaves, like he gets up around 7 o'clock, knowing he has to go home to his family. Despite he's not married. What does this mean? In God's eyes, it is a sin. But let's just say that his brother knew, he was like, he'd finally discovered why he had some extra money stashed in his saving jar. Because Suzanne actually gave him $200 extra. So he gets $1,000 a week. But for Friday, why? Because he was sleeping with his boss. And all of a sudden his brother, what can I say? What would I name his brother? David's brother, let's say his name was Clifford. His brother Clifford knew that, bro, we need to talk about this money. And then all of a sudden, David felt like, okay, let's talk about it. And all of a sudden, Clifford felt like it's best to let him know because the worst thing people can do is expose each other. Expose, to ridicule, to identify the truth about somebody else. And then all of a sudden, a lot of people start to take action. I mean, most of the employees, they were like shocked. Like, a couple of the employees come to Denver's office, his cubicle, his room. Some of them fold their arms. Some of them are like standing with their hand on his desk, like, where were you last Friday? And of course, in this position, you would have to fess up. The boss, I was with the boss. And then people gonna start getting personal. Why? Because honestly, when it comes to David being the go-to guy, the number one guy, the target to Susanna's eye, not only that, let's just say that one day, that Monday, Susanna's husband came to his office. Which one of you is David? And of course, you can tell that it's going to be some I'm about to kick your butt moment or a threat. And yes, everybody was so unaware. And after David told the truth, people were like for shame. I mean, they were like for shame. And since Suzanne's husband came to him, everybody else was going back to the cubicle disappointed at David. And of course, David knew that his brother Clifford, he wasn't lying. How long have you been sleeping with my wife? For this about 6 months. 6 months right now. And you know good and doggone well that when it comes to being asked by the boss's husband, David had to tell the truth. He knew he had to accept the facts that he had his back had been turned back. I mean, everybody turned their back on David just because he got paid more than everybody else. While they have 800, David gets 1,000. And the other two, as y'all remember, I mentioned, he gets $200 for sleeping with Suzanne, his wife. No. His boss. And all of a sudden, instead of getting real mad at David, Suzanne's husband, he actually gave him some advice. Some good ones. Hey, have you ever heard of sexual harassment? No, we never talk about it. And let's just say that after David said no, Suzanne's husband whispered in his ear, and he feels like, and later on, he feels betrayed. Oh no. So all of a sudden, later on that Monday, 5 p.m., he goes home to his brother Clifford was like, well, how did day go? David felt like he didn't want to talk to Clifford. He just walks off, looks in the money jar, and Clifford's like, look, man, I am talking to you. Why can't you tell me what's going on? And then he starts raising, man, get off the stupid penny, the money jar. Tell me what's going on. Well, Dave, for goodness sakes, Clifford, I'm trying to take out the money. You were right about this whole thing. And not to mention, Suzanne's husband came to my job. Everybody got their back turned on me. And to think, it could have gotten any worse. The boss's husband asked me if I knew a thing about sexual harassment. I did not. So he whispered to my ear and let me know what it was talking about. So if you would kindly give me back my money jar, I'm going to take all the $200 that's been collected from Miss Suzanne. That way I can return the money and get this madness out the way. So Clifford, he starts to realize that David was not kidding. Clifford Denver, you're getting mad because David's focused on the money jar, when you know he was trying to do a favor after being told about sexual harassment, and he decided to take his actions in his own hands. So the very next day, Clifford, despite he left the house around 6 a.m., because he he was hanging out with his friends, and they wake up and they go to some random spot to hang out, watch the sunrise, and even drink hot chocolate instead of coffee. And Clifford dressed up. No, he's not dressed up. After 6 months, after the entire 5 months, and month number 6 was taking place right away, he decided to dress up in casual clothes. Despite it wasn't Friday, despite he was not on his day off, he actually went to work dressed up in regular clothes, like a t-shirt with, let's say he wore a Jive Records t-shirt, rest in peace to Jive Records, followed by black pants, like black Dickies, some white Nike tennis shoes, and a ball cap. And like I said, David took powers in his own hands. He took this sexual harassment thing too seriously that he felt like it's time for Suzanne to know what she has done. But before he walked inside the office, before he had his cubicle, before he walked into his cubicle, he called Suzanne's husband while he was in bed. What why are you calling me? I want me because I'm about to. The reason why I'm calling you is because I'm about to put an end to this madness. What? What you talking about? I'm returning the every $200 she gave me, and I would definitely like your assistance. So instead, the husband shows up, and not to mention, Clifford, while he was about to head back home, he saw the boss's husband making his way to David's workplace. To the fact that Clifford had to turn and follow him. And yes, David met both Clifford and the boss's husband, and they all stormed in together. Straight up to Suzanne's office. But unfortunately, a lot of people who turned their back on David is like, wait, yo, who's that? Yo, that's David. Wait, I know, but why is he not dressed in uniform? All right, now Clifford, I want you to go ahead and empty all of my stuff. What, you crazy? No, I am not. Besides, it's time to give a visit. Give Suzanne a visit. And of course, people be saying some things like, it's time to put an end to this. Like when you see in movies, you think that sexual harassment is a joke, but it's not. It really screwed everybody up. Look at the lives of like Cuba Gooding Jr., Bill Cosby, and Kevin Spacey, I think. Morgan Freeman was part of it, but I mean, it's not just men. Women do it too. Some lie to keep their cool and to make the money. No, that's not how it goes. And thank goodness I learned a true definition of sexual harassment back last spring when I was at the University of Memphis Lambeth campus in Jackson, Tennessee. Shout out to the Lambeth campus as well. That's for those that don't know, that's where I attended until I went to the main campus, which I am at right now. Because it's still owned by Memphis. Lambeth owned by Memphis, and now I'm in the main Memphis campus. And yes, to top it all off, there's no escape with sexual harassment. There is none. So the boss's husband discovers that Susanna is not in her office. And all of a sudden, Clifford and David, they didn't care. Look, man, my wife is not in the office right now. It doesn't matter. We're going to keep going. All right, let's clear everything. I don't need this. So let's say they got everything out. And then, while they were just about to finish up cleaning up David Denver's office, all heck broke loose, especially when Suzanne walked in. First she walked in like, what the heck are you doing? Clifford turns first, then the husband, who actually, as for those that I didn't say this, he actually got some divorce papers. And then, finally, David turns. He drops the bag of every $200 that Suzanne gave him. And let's just say she was paranoid. She was way over the edge. Like, what is this? You're leaving? And what for? Because your husband told me, well, not only that, Clifford knew about it, and your husband whispered to me about it. So I'm returning every $200 you've been giving me every Friday, all because you want me to sleep with you after having dinner with you while he was gone. And to top it all off, I am no longer your slave. Because I've had it with this sexual harassment. And Suzanne was like, what did you say? Yeah, you heard me. I'm tired of this sexual harassment. Since when did I sexually harass you? Every Friday. You ask me to come to dinner. And then we watch a movie, and then I had to sleep with you. But every time I leave every Saturday morning to my house, you give me $200. Now I know why I don't feel comfortable. Now I know why everybody else looked at me funny and turned their backs on me. Well, I'm not going to buy it. Not today. So you can keep every $200 you gave me and all. It doesn't matter. Because I quit. But before he could even walk out the door, let's say Susanna's wife, no, Susanna's husband gave her a pen, gave Susanna a pen to sign. What is this? Now, he's trying to keep it hidden until after she signed her name. And then he unfolded the top part, and guess what? DIVORCE. We're divorced. What? And to think it could have got any worse. Well, it did. And all the employees, they decided to join on in and decided to quit too. After discovering that, actually one of the other employees, they were looking up a file of Suzanne, Arkansas. And they discovered her evil past. She has manipulated all men that worked for her. And then all of a sudden, they feel like they don't belong here anymore. And yet, before David, Suzanne's husband, and David's brother Clifford walked out the door, a gun was cocked. A hammer was cocked. Cock the hammer! Cypress Hill, 1993. And the gun was aimed on David's head. Suzanne. A Magnum .357 revolver in the back of John's head. No, David's head. I had to think. It's not simple to talk because I haven't been doing much to anybody. And I got to work on that. But you get the point. What makes you think I could just let you walk out of my life, out of this job, and not notice what's going on? And then all of a sudden, one of the employees that turned their back, so on David Denver, pointed to the computer. Seeing that she was officially exposed by one of the other employees. And then it later led to Suzanne shooting a computer. And everybody was panicking. Oh no! Don't run! And some of them, they actually tackled Suzanne. And yes, even the police knew about it. And they made their way. While David Clifford and Suzanne's husband were escaping, planning to head out the office and leave, the police showed up and they were looking for David and the boss and Susanna. Why? But mostly David. Yeah, I'm David. What's the problem? And then a few minutes later, Suzanne was later handcuffed and escorted in the back of a police car. Her Magnum 357 revolver was in the police's good hands. Since a boss has turned completely insane after being ridiculed, being denied for the money, and being completely involved in sexual harassment, causing David to finally open up his eyes. And that's the way it works. So what happened later on? David and Clifford and the boss's husband feel cool, calm, and collected, and everybody else that worked in the office, the cubicle, they no longer work for Susanna. Everybody quit. Some of the employees, the female employees, they decided to stop wearing ponytails. Like, wanna go have a lunch? Yeah, let's do it. And some of them, they decided to wait until tomorrow, the very next day, Wednesday, to pack all their belongings together. But since David was the one that had the key to lock up, he decided to hand the key to somebody else. And they all lived a different life. They live free. They don't want to deal with anything like sexual harassment ever again. But in reality, sexual harassment never ends, because it can happen anytime, any place, and it doesn't take long for somebody to realize. Because people get exposed every day for some dumb things, and sexual harassment is one of them. Now, honestly, if you compare that to the story that I told you about, if there was a David Denver in real life in this position, or Suzanne Arkansas in this position, just know, if it's not right, it's not right. Because sexual harassment can really scar you for the rest of your life. You can even end up in jail for it. Besides being exposed and having your peers turn their backs on you, it's your fault. You are the victim, or you're the bad guy. You're the bad girl. You know it's not good. It's not a good look. And you got to get away from that. So think about it. Think about what I'm saying. Now, last week I talked about procrastination. The other videos before, it's probably the same old things. Procrastination and not getting involved and making a fool out of yourself. Yes, that is not what people deserve. But it's not a man thing, it's not a woman thing. Because when it comes to sexual harassment, it's an evil thing. And it takes more than the devil made me do it. Because that's a lie. You did it yourself. You just want somebody's attention, and that's just sick. Sexual favors. sexual favors for some employees. That way they do a favor for you and you end up paying them. No, come on now. That's gross. That's just wrong. But yeah, I would never want to see myself in this position or act in a position like that, because it can really scar you. It scars me. It scars everybody. And it's more than just a Hollywood thing. It's a real life thing. And even my sister Amanda felt humiliated in this position. Because sexual harassment really scars everybody. From your family to your friends to others around this whole world. And it just doesn't seem to look good, because it's already been sugar coated. They try to keep it on the down low. They keep it on the hush. But one day that hush is gonna be screwed up. Like, in other words, nobody's gonna keep it on the down low. Nobody's gonna keep it on the hush. There's gonna be somebody exposing to the fact that the truth has already been revealed. No more sexual harassment. That's all we ask. No more. That way we would not have this Me Too movement, this nightmare that will ruin everybody else's job, because jobs have been ruined because of this. And it's not going to happen ever again. Trust me. But with all that being said, if you like what you're hearing about sexual harassment, and based on the story that I gave you and how it can affect others, men or women, it can still affect. All you got to do is these following things. Like this video. Comment. Tell how you feel about it, and even give your opinion. Like, what would you do when you're in a sexual harassment situation? And also, you can share it on Twitter, Instagram, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook. It doesn't matter. Just share it if you haven't already. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. And there will be more in stores when I come up with some other ideas, like some other discussions for Cold Man's Winter. And with all that being said, this is yours truly, Taylor Jones, signing out. And before I go, I will be honored to present you this week's Sweet Lady of the Weekend, where a female individual, gets all the credit that she deserves. And for this week, it belongs to Sweet Lady of the Weekend. This one belongs to none other than Olympia Pringle, my cousin Olympia Pringle. And because when it comes to dealing with a strong woman that's not afraid to stand out on hard times and try to blend in, Olympia is the one person I can think of. So yes, Sweet Lady of the Weekend is Olympia Pringle, and that's all that I have to say about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching another episode of Cold Man's Winter, and I will see you on the flip side. See you.